Hey there, podcast lovers. Looking for a fresh take on the world? Tune into Nikki's World, where we dive into everything hitting the headlines and chat about just what's on our minds. No filters, just real talk. Whether you're sipping your morning coffee or unwinding after a long day, Nikki's World is your go-to for genuine commentary on the real world. Subscribe now if you want to hear the real deal on what's going on. Join the conversation on Nikki's World, where every episode feels like catching up with an old friend. Don't miss out.
What's up, y'all? Let's do this.
Oh, hi guys, welcome to Nikki's World. I'm Nikki, your host, and today we gotta talk about the hypocrisy in the intersex community because I'm gonna tell you this, the hypocrisy in the intersex community is so off the charts, so off the hook that it ain't even fucking funny anymore. But we're gonna talk about that and we're gonna expose their ranked hypocrisy on a massive scale. But before we go any further, guys, if you guys love Nikki's World so much, seriously, y'all, can y'all please consider donating a cup of coffee for me? Because for a price of a cup of coffee at Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts, and Cumberland Farms, guys, you guys help keep this podcast show alive. You guys help me curate more stories, more topics like this to talk about. I do accept Bitcoin donations. I am on Ko-fi, guys. If you guys want to support, sponsor, donate, and commission me for a modeling photo shoot, if you guys love Nikki's World so much, seriously, y'all, please hit that like, subscribe, please give me a review. Good, bad, and the ugly. Also, guys, I do have a bunch of affiliate links to go through. First off is Minds.com. Minds.com is a Connecticut-based social media platform. They are an awesome alternative to Facebook. So if you're sick and tired of the leftists trying to deplatform you, cancel you and all that, and you want to be able to say stuff without fear of being blocked, suspended, or deplatformed, well then, head on over to my friends at Minds.com. So guys, I do have one of the most awesome, and I mean the most awesome affiliate link with Burner. Burner is the less lethal self-defense company, guys. They make their top-of-the-line Burner SD, Burner LE, TCR, Mission Fort, and their newest, guys, their compact launcher. So if you guys value your right to the Second Amendment, your right to self-defense, but you want to do it in a less lethal manner? Well then, ladies and gentlemen, head on over to my friends at Burner.com. In full disclosure, ladies and gentlemen, I do own a Burner LE pistol myself. And finally, guys, I do have the most awesome, and I mean the most awesome affiliate link with North Shore Medical Supply. North Shore Medical Supply, they make their top of the line North Shore Mega Max diaper, North Shore Supreme pull up, their North Shore Supreme diaper, and their Eternal boosters, guys. So if you know somebody out there who needs to wear adult diapers and who needs to be put in adult diapers like I am, guys, well then, ladies and gentlemen, send them on over to my friends at North Shore Medical Supply, and they will make sure that they are diapered up and padded up as always. And before we get this show on the road, literally, guys, if you guys love this episode and any of my other episodes on Nikki's World, seriously, y'all, can y'all please consider sharing this across all the social media platforms that are out there today? Wow, that was a mouthful. That was a mouthful. And yes, guys, I am diapered up as always. I am diapered in my North Shore Mega Max diapers with my onesies from then Little Comforts, okay, or Little's Laboratory. So I had a onesie. I got a onesie from them. So I'm diapered up, padded up. Let's get on with the show, shall we? So today I want to talk to you about why the intersex community is full of shit. Why the intersex community is like full of shit and full of crap, okay? As an intersex DSD person, well, formerly intersex person, now DSD person, okay, aka disorders of sexual development person, who happens to have Kallmann syndrome, I fucking hate it when the intersex community tries to dismiss me as saying, oh, you're not intersex. Oh, you're just a man. Excuse me, I have disorders of sexual development condition called Kallmann syndrome, previously known as an intersex condition up until 2006. And mind you, ladies and gentlemen, I've been diagnosed a lot fucking longer than all these online keyboard warrior activists. I've been diagnosed since, let me see, 1983? Yeah, I've been diagnosed since 1983. So let me see, that's like what? Way over 30 years ago? I'm gonna say 30 plus years ago. But yeah, I've been diagnosed ever since. And I'm telling you guys, it's getting real bad on X because of the fact that you got some of these so-called intersex activists who are using the 2006 Chicago consensus statement to bully, harass, intimidate, and to try to shame anyone with an actual DSD condition, and they're using it in what? 2026? And I'm like, are you fucking for real? So you're going to use a 20-year-old consensus document to bully me by saying, oh no, you're not intersex. Oh no, you're not DSD. And I'm like, hello, we're in 2026. The Chicago consensus statement was like, what, over 20 years ago? And you're going to use something that's over 20 years ago to basically harass and bully me, or use my profile pics to basically intimidate me? Hello? Let's get to the times here. Let's get on point with the times. Because quite frankly, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of these so-called activists that harass me over not being intersex in their narrow point of view, they're the ones who try to say, oh, we keep up with the science. But then they use something that's 20 years ago in 2026. Is that keeping up with the science? It sure isn't, but they're still using it to harass people. And then here's the kicker of all this. These are the same so-called intersex activists that will deny Kallmann syndrome as a DSD condition or even an intersex condition when they turn around and try to prop up PCOS as an intersex condition. That's ranked hypocrisy right there. That is, guys. But I want to talk about how what is Kallmann syndrome? I mean, look at it this way. Kallmann syndrome comes in two forms. You have the rare Kallmann syndrome and the CHH, which is the more common one. The only thing that separates me from the CHH crowd is that Kallmann's people, and this is depending on gene variation. There's right now seven known gene variations of Kallmann syndrome that are out there. I have the classic one, which is originally what they called a Cal1, but they renamed it to Anos 1. Okay? So I have the classic version of it, which means I'm born with no sense of smell. I'm born sensory neural deaf in 1 year, okay? I have a micropenis, ambiguous genitalia, gynecomastia, okay? I don't go through puberty like everyone else, okay? I'm like somewhat, basically, if I put this in an analogy for you people, it's like my puberty attempt never happened. So I went from like infant, child to adulthood, didn't have the teenage puberty like everyone is supposed to have. All right. So didn't have all that. All right. And quite frankly, guys, I never did. So for me, as someone who has Kallmann syndrome, in the formerly known as Cal1, also known as Anos 1, it is a DSD condition, and it has been listed as a disorders of sexual development condition, which is formerly known as an intersex condition. But the so-called intersex activists still like to stick around to the old labels, but then they often like say, well, we don't use intersex anymore, but we use DSD. But then you got the problem is they're still clinging to the pre-2006 statement. They're still clinging to that. And it's kind of dumbfounded me. It really is. It really is. The fact of the matter is like this, guys. The fact of the matter is that I'm confirmed. I'm confirmed to have what is formerly known as an intersex condition, now called a disorders of sexual development condition. I've been confirmed twice in, let me see, or 3 times. In 1983 at the University of Connecticut Health Center in Farmington, Connecticut, and in 1996 at the Massachusetts General Hospital in Boston, Massachusetts. And then in 2015, I was confirmed again at the National Institutes of Health in Bethesda, Maryland. So quite frankly, ladies and gentlemen, I've been confirmed 3 times by 3 different places to be confirmed that, yes, you have what is formerly an intersex condition. Now we call it a disorders of sexual development condition. 3 times, ladies and gentlemen. My first diagnosis was what, 1983 at the then Hartford Hospital, when I had like a pneumonia and I had to go into the ER, and when they looked at my genitalia and all that, they were like, holy shit, that's not typical. So that's when the ball got rolling. And then 1983, I got my official diagnosis. And then I got it again in 1996. And then I got it again in 2015. So to these so-called intersex activists out there, how come I got diagnosed and confirmed 3 times? How come my diagnosis is on there? How come? Because you know why? Because facts don't care about your feelings. And facts is gets in the way of your ideology, of your cherry picking. Okay, it really does. It really does. And basically, like this: when the Chicago Consensus came out in 2006, they officially listed Kallmann syndrome as a DSD. Okay, they officially listed. And then a couple years later, 20 years later, they came out with in Europe called ENDO-ERN. ENDO-ERN took the DSD manual and took the Chicago Consensus in 2026, updated it with new science and new data out there, and said, yes, Kallmann syndrome is listed as a DSD condition, and we can confirm it, and we have the papers and the data. Mind you, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of American endocrinologists are using ENDO-ERN as the basis for determining what is considered intersex, or formerly intersex, now called disorders of sexual development. They're now using what European scientists are using to determine what is considered DSD. And mind you guys, it is out there. And I'm going to link it in the description below, ladies and gentlemen, because ENDO-ERN is what the Chicago Consensus Statement in 2006 started it all. But the funny thing in all that, you have intersex activists online using the 2006 to argue about this and this and this related to intersex or disorders of sexual development in 2026, when ENDO-ERN fixed all the flaws from the 2006 DSD. Because the problem was, in 2006, the science was getting started. The science was getting out there. So it takes a long time before the science ever gets there, okay? It takes a long time for it. But quite frankly, guys, it's getting tiring when you see a bunch of these so-called intersex activists who use 2006 to bully, intimidate, harass DSD people like me in 2026, and then trying to argue that, oh, Kallmann syndrome is not an intersex or a DSD. But the evidence is here. The evidence is like big as a mountain, but you refuse to look at the mountain. Instead, you got blinders everywhere. Yeah, maybe it's time to take those blinders off your eyes and start looking at the wider world and go, oh shit, the science did update it. Yeah, this is like the same as these people who were in this COVID craze where everybody was demanding that you had to wear a face diaper like twice, or like you had to take the jab because they thought it was science back then. But then the problem is people don't realize the technology evolved, science evolved. We get better over time. So we don't get stuck in one place in the past. All right? We don't. But then the problem is you got these people who are still stuck in the damn past. You really do. You really got these people who are so stuck in the past. And it's not even fucking funny. It's not. That's why ENDO-ERN, with what I'm going to put in the description below for you guys, is what endocrinologists in Europe and America are using right now. They're using that right now that a lot of intersex activists hadn't even caught up to. People like me who got introduced to ENDO-ERN, and I can thank Grok for this one. Grok introduced me to ENDO-ERN because Grok showed me that DSD is a 20-year-old document, and it's so old and outdated that no one in the fucking world uses it anymore. No one doesn't. So now everyone just chucked the 20-year-old DSD document down the can and said, this is a historical document. No one uses it anymore in 2026. Everyone now, you got European and American endocrinologists that are now on endo-ERN as the basis for what they consider is to be a DSD condition. So we've moved on. They're still stuck in the past. But anyway, I want to talk about like the double standard that's been going on in the intersex and DSD community, or let me rephrase it: the older intersex community and now DSD community. Okay, you got many activists out there. All right, you got many activists out there who basically have tried to call out saying, "Oh, Kallmann syndrome is not an intersex condition. Oh, PCOS is an intersex condition." I sit there and I go like this: which is it, intersex activists? Which is it? Are you gonna dismiss Kallmann syndrome, but then go around and defend PCOS when in reality the facts speak for themselves? PCOS is not an intersex condition or not a DSD condition. Kallmann's is a DSD condition. It's kind of funny how these so-called intersex activists love to defend PCOS, but then dismiss Kallmann syndrome because it doesn't suit their ideology. It doesn't suit their cherry picking. Because I'm gonna tell you this, and this is the God's honest, ugly truth. They love to cherry pick everything. They love to nitpick and cherry pick over what is considered DSD, what is not, because they have an ideology to defend. They have an ideology that they have to uphold by saying, "Oh, this is what we consider to be DSD. This is what we consider to be this and this and this." But then the problem is when you haul out the evidence from PubMed, okay? When you haul out the evidence from endo-ERN, they have nothing. All they end up doing is attacking people for their appearance, for their profile pic, and they have nothing to counter. So they resort to name calling, bullying, harassing, doxing, and intimidation because they don't have any facts to counter. And the fact that I can haul out PubMed journals like all fucking day long, okay? I can cite endo-ERN to the fucking moon shows up. But these activists will go like this, "La, la, 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 la," because they don't want to have reality hit them in the head or have reality run them over like a fucking runaway freight train. They don't. And that's the hypocrisy I see in all that. That is. And the problem is like this. You have a lot of these so-called transgender activists, these so-called intersex activists, gender queers, non-binaries, and fucking idiots who will try to say, well, PCOS is an intersex or formerly intersex or DSD condition, but Kallmann's isn't. Because you know why they do that? Because they think they know what science is, but the problem is, at the end of the day, Mother Nature, biology, is going to sit there and go, yeah, these assholes are all wrong. These assholes are just being stupid, retarded. I'm just gonna let natural selection take its place and basically run them out. I'm probably gonna let them do that. Yeah, but the fact of the matter is, guys, my condition, which is Kallmann syndrome, gets denied its due because it is considered a DSD condition. They deny science. And these are the people who complain when you deny COVID or you deny PCOS or you deny the trans bullshit. But then they turn around and deny Kallmann syndrome. It's like, that's cherry picking. That's ranked hypocrisy on a grand scale. And I'm not going to name activists, but I will tell you there are intersex activists on X who will flat out defend PCOS, but will turn around and deny me as a DSD person who has an actual diagnosis of Kallmann syndrome, okay, that yes, it is a DSD condition. Yeah, it is. But the fact of the matter is, they will go around doing that. And I see it on X all the time. I'm not going to name names, but the ones that I'm talking about, I'm looking at your ass. I'm looking at your fat, ugly, lazy, idiotic ass. I'm looking at you because I'm telling you, man, I'm telling you, I've seen it. I've seen it. And these so-called activist guys, yeah, I see it. I see it all the time. They're willing to attack anyone who doesn't fit their narrow Western view of what formerly is intersex, now DSD. But the problem is, we've changed. The science has changed so much, guys, that it ain't even fucking funny. It ain't, guys. It ain't. But I will tell you this. I will tell you this. The so-called intersex activists that I see on X that love to attack people like me by saying, "Oh, you're not DSD. Oh, you're just a man in a dress or a man doing this and this and this." You realize you're using the same playbook that trans activists like to use when they attack people, but it's the same playbook, different team. But then these intersex activists attack the trans activists for misgendering them, but then they do the same thing to DSD people. You seen the level of stupidity in that shit? Have you seen the level of stupidity? I mean, come on, that is fucked up. Okay? Intersex activists like hate it when trans activists misgender them or deny their existence, turn around and do the same thing to DSD activists and especially DSD people like me who have Kallmann syndrome and they deny their existence as well. It's like, you're literally taking the same playbook from the people you hate so much and then do it to everyone else. That makes you look stupid, retarded, and that makes you look like a fucking asshole. If you don't see that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to put a billboard. I'm going to put a billboard on all fucking 50 states to show it to you on what an asshole you really are. Seriously. Seriously, man. These people, man, they generally like this. They love to cherry pick facts just to suit their own agenda. But then they piss on people who don't agree with their ideology. I'm a Gen Xer here. I'm gonna just say like this: these people are fucking retarded. These people are fucking. These people are fucking mentally retarded. I mean, like this. My generation growing up as a Gen Xer, if you're gonna say something to someone, you better say it to their face, and you better be prepared to defend what you say. Because for as a Gen Xer growing up, you say shit to my face like that, you get punched. You get a beat down that the whole neighborhood hears. And at the end of the beatdown, your shoe gets hung on a telephone line for everyone to see that you got your ass kicked. Because you wanted to say shit to somebody's face, okay? But back in my generation, you had to stand up for what you said. You have to. Now in 2026, these people do it from behind a computer screen, from behind a keyboard, because they never had to face consequences. They never had to face repercussions. They never had to learn to stand up for what they say. They never. And now I see that all the fucking time. I'll give you a couple of examples, guys. As a DSD activist, I've oftentimes had my picture on social media used to bully, harass, intimidate, and dox me, or basically try to shame me. But you know what? When they do that shit, that just means they got nothing to argue. That means they're just acting like a fucking asshole, like a fucking retard, like a fucking dipshit, because you know what? My generation growing up, if you wanted to say shit to somebody's face, you had to go up to their face and say it. Now these people do it through a keyboard, through a screen, because back in my generation, if you say shit to someone's face, you know you're gonna get your ass kicked. You know you're gonna get punched, beat, shot, or stabbed. Yeah. Back in my generation, yeah, that happened. But people today, they do it through a fucking damn keyboard. They do it through a fucking damn screen because they never had to face being beaten up, being shot at, being stabbed at, being punched at, or having your shoes like thrown on a telephone line because they never faced a thing called like consequences, repercussions. They never had learned a thing called standing up for what you say. They never learned that. But then the problem is, in 2026, the way these people love to go after you for who you are, what you are, they'll take your profile pic and they'll use it to fucking bully and harass me. I've had examples, guys, on X where I had these so-called wannabe like intersex activists, okay, try to harass a DSD person by saying, oh no, that's not Kallmann syndrome. No, that's just a man in a dress. And it's like, dude, you're doing the same shit that trans activists do that you hate so fucking damn much. Yeah, really. You're doing the same shit that trans activists do to people that they hate, but you're doing it to DSD activists. Yeah, it really hits it. It really hits it. And then I'll tell you this. I'm on OnlyFans and Fansly. I model. I don't do any sexual or porn shit. I do, let me see, fashion, shibari, boudoir, okay? I do artistic nude, okay? I do swimsuit modeling. I don't do anything sexual. I don't do anything that involves like sex with another person. As a DSD model, I use OnlyFans and Fansly to promote my modeling work, to promote the DSD community, to show that DSD bodies are nothing to be fucking afraid of, to be celebrated, and to be able to say, yes, I have a DSD body. I may not have a biological man's body or a biological woman's body. So I have a fucking damn body, okay? At least I have a fucking damn body there. But I had this one idiot who subscribed on my OnlyFans and tried to use my pictures to bully me by saying, "Oh, you're a man in a dress. You're a man. You're a man in a dress." I'm like, really, dude? Really? You're gonna use that I'm a man in a dress shit that trans activists like to use on like cross dressers who are not true trans bullshit? You're gonna use that? I mean, come on, that playbook is getting old to the point where, yeah, man, I'm going like this. Or you got something better, or are you just gonna waste my time with your bullshit? And here's the kicker to that, like how these so-called intersex activists love to call me a man in a dress, even though I'm a DSD person, I'm a DSD activist. Okay, they use the Western assumption of what they consider to be a biological man and a biological woman, knowing that I'm I'm a Laotian American, Southeast Asian, Asian American. So let's think about this. How do these idiots try to define me as a man, knowing that Asians, Southeast Asians, and Americans, especially Laotian American men, don't look like the typical Western European men? How do they justify that? I need kids. It is, but it hits racism, and it hits like basically them being racist on a fucking scale. And I'm telling you this, guys, they're so racist. They don't even know that they're racist. They are. The fact that they're using Western standards on what they consider to be a man and a woman and trying to say, "Oh, you look like a man," but they ignore the ethnicity. They ignore where you come from. But they just go around and going, "Oh, that looks like a man. That looks like a woman. That looks like a man." But then the problem is, we have different ethnicities around the globe. Okay, we have like Filipino, we have Chinese, Japanese, Koreans, Vietnamese, Laotians, Thai, Cambodians, Malaysians, Indonesians, okay, Singaporeans, okay. We have those, but they want to apply the Western standard on these on Asian ethnicities when Asians in general have softer features, have like features that can be confused with a woman, and for a woman can be confused for a guy. I don't know, man. I don't know. These people are fucked up. These people are fucked up. But you know what? I go like this. I go like this. These people use like Western standards to apply to any ethnicity, and they don't understand that they can't do that. That makes you racist to the fucking core. That makes you so goddamn racist that do I need to put a billboard out there calling you racist? Imagine applying the Western standard to South Africans, to Latin Americans or Central Americans, or the Eastern Europeans or Middle Eastern people or South Asian people. Yeah, that would make them so racist that they would be like fighting like to no avail. But ladies and gentlemen, this is why the so-called intersex activists and the so-called intersex community are racist, because they apply the Western standard to ethnicities that aren't Western. And it's kind of shocking for me. It is. It is. But this is why I want to say this before we end the show for the day. I don't give a shit if you call me a man in a dress. Give a shit if you don't believe that Kallmann syndrome is a DSD condition. I don't give a shit. I'm not here to be like. I'm not here to please people. I'm not here to like to kiss your fucking ass. I'm not. I tell people, I'm not here for all that shit. I'm not. And I will tell you, the more you hate me, the more it validates me. I'm gonna tell you, man, the more you hate me, the more you hate my condition, yeah, the more it validates me. And every time some so-called intersex activist that loves to call me a man in a dress, or call and tries to say, "Oh, Kallman's is not an intersex or a DSD condition," I'm gonna say it like this: You're validating me, guys. You're basically validating my condition. You're basically validating scientific biological facts right there. You're basically making me look good by saying, "Hey, thanks thanks for the feedback and all that, you know?" And I tell you this, the harder you hate me, the more I know I'm right. And my old analogy coming from the old days, if you have haters, you're doing something right. If you don't have haters, you're doing something wrong. And to me, since I have haters in the intersex community, or the so-called intersex community that's stuck in 2006, I'm doing something right. I am. Since I have haters, I'm on the right track. I'm doing something right. I'm doing something good. Okay? If I didn't have haters, I'm doing something wrong, you know? And I'm telling you this, man. The people that hate me, hey, you're validating me, and you know what? You're giving me the free engagement and the free endorsement, you know? So think of it this way, guys. You just gave me the free press, and you just gave me the validation that, yes, I'm a DSD person. Yes, I happen to have Kallmann syndrome. Yes, Kallmann syndrome is a DSD condition. And yes, the more you hate me, the more you validate me. It's pretty much that simple. Okay? It's pretty much self-explanatory, and it's pretty much simple. The fact that you hate me so much because I'm right, you're wrong, you're acting like an asshole, an idiot, and you're still stuck in 2006 when everyone else is on 2026 and endo ERN, guys. I'm sorry to say this, guys. I'm sorry to say this. Stay stuck in 2026 when DSD activists have moved on in 2030, 2040, 2050, 60, and so on. Stay stuck in 2006, guys, because it's going to make you look like an asshole. It's going to make you look like a jerk. It's going to make you look like an idiot, and it's going to make you look like a retard and a reject. You'll probably be in the same group as these flat earthers who believe the earth is flat. Yeah, that's what I think of these so-called intersex activists who try to deny like Kallmann syndrome's DSD, who try to cling to the 2006 Chicago consensus. Yeah, they cling to that old notion, but then the problem is they don't understand like how we moved on since 2006. They don't understand how to go forward. They're still stuck on the pre in 2006 line, but they hadn't moved on since 2006. And people like me who have Kallmann syndrome and is listed as a DSD on EndoERN, it's like they're stuck in the past. They're stuck in the past and they hadn't moved forward. I'm guessing they refuse to admit that science has evolved, that the new data is out there. The new science is so out there that they're afraid to admit that, like, oh shit, you're right. Kallman's is a DSD condition, you know? Yeah, they refuse to admit. But then the problem is like this. These same activists who try to say that I'm not DSD, let alone intersex, you're still stuck in the past. It's 2026, ladies and gentlemen. Try and keep up with the new knowledge. Try and keep up with the new shit, ladies and gentlemen. Come on, it's 2026, and you so-called intersex activists who still like to cling to the old pre-2006 notions of what you think is considered intersex or let alone DSD, but then we moved on 20 years later in 2026 with EndoERN. Come on, ladies and gentlemen. Either update your knowledge or get left behind. And quite frankly, guys, I'm looking at the rear view mirror and I see a lot of so-called intersex activists who have been left behind and still stuck on 2006 and have not caught up in 2026 with EndoERN. They're still stuck there, ladies and gentlemen. And quite frankly, I'm turning around and looking at them and I'm going, you're still clinging to 2006 when everybody moved on to 2026 with EndoERN and endocrinologists in North America and Europe are using EndoERN now. Y'all people can stay stuck in the past. Stay stuck in the past, guys, while we're pushing forward and moving to the future. Yeah. And at the same time, ladies and gentlemen, the more you call me a man in a dress and the more you try to dismiss my Kallmann syndrome as not being DSD or formerly intersex, the more you validate me, the more you you confirm that I'm right and you're wrong. And pretty much, guys, the more they do that, the more they prove my point. They pretty much do. So to the so-called intersex activists out there in 2026 who still cling to the Chicago consensus in 2006, stay mad, ladies and gentlemen. Stay mad. Stay mad because I'm telling you this right now. Stay mad because thanks for the free engagement you're giving me. Thanks for the free publicity you're giving me. Because I'm gonna be up front. The people who love to use my pictures to harass, bully, intimidate, and dox me, or to harass me on OnlyFans and Fansly and try to call me a man in a dress, knowing that I'm not a biological man, I'm not a biological woman, I can never meet those standards due to my Kallmann syndrome, stay mad. Stay mad, ladies and gentlemen, because y'all people are stuck in the past. I'm into the future here, and the future looks brighter for people like me, and it really does. So stay mad, ladies and gentlemen, because y'all giving me the free engagement, free publicity, okay, and the free advertising, and you're proving my point every time, okay? Because when you can't back up what you say, when you can't cite what you say, you act like a fucking idiot. You act like a fucking retard. And quite frankly, guys, you prove my point time and time and time again. Wow, guys, that was a fucking awesome good show. That was a fucking awesome good show. All right. And I want to thank you guys for listening to Nikki's World. I'm Nikki, your host. I will see y'all soon. Bye for now.
You just listened to an episode of Nikki's World. Thanks for listening. We'll see y'all soon. Bye for now.